as I look back at uh, my my defeats and my problems and all of the things that I can sink into depression about, I can also look back and I can think of all the blessings I've had, and my blessings actually outweigh all of the negative things that have occurred in my life, and it's that fact that probably makes me happiest of all. I know somebody up there loves me.
The voice of a generation, Marvin Gaye, was shot and killed by his own father with a gun he himself had provided. But was this a simple murder? The Prince of Soul was a man haunted by his father's secret life as a cross-dresser, crippled by debt and addiction, and desperate for an escape. The truth of that day is darker than any rumor, involving a tragic link to his partner Tammi Terrell, and a chilling final whisper that suggests this wasn't a killing, but a terrifying engineered suicide by father. The Gay family home in Los Angeles had become a pressure cooker of debt, drugs, and suffocating paranoia. On the morning of April 1st, 1984, the day before Marvin's 45th birthday, a trivial argument over a misplaced insurance document ignited the final fire. Marvin's father, Marvin Gay Sr., was verbally attacking his mother, Alberta. This was the final straw for an artist already living on the edge of a complete mental collapse. High on cocaine and enraged by the attack on his mother, Marvin stormed in. This wasn't a debate. It was an explosion. He shouted, he pushed, and then, in a terrifying fit of rage, Marvin Gaye brutally attacked his 70-year-old father. He kicked and beat him severely, forcing the older man to flee the room. But Marvin Sr. didn't just run. He went to get the one thing he knew could end this conflict forever. To understand what happened next, you must understand the killer. Marvin Gay Sr. was a man of terrifying contradictions. He was a famously strict Pentecostal minister who enforced a rigid, abusive moral code on his children, often with a belt. But behind the pulpit, he harbored a secret that was the source of his son's deepest shame and his own tormented, jealous rage. The most shocking, substantiated secret of the Gay family was that Marvin Sr. was a known cross-dresser. This fact was common knowledge in their old Washington, D.C. neighborhood, and a source of profound humiliation for young Marvin, who was bullied relentlessly for it. This secret fueled the father's intense, bitter jealousy, a rage directed at his own son, whose fame, fortune, and public image of masculine cool was everything he was not. What's the most shocking celebrity family secret you've ever heard? Let us know in the comments. That final fight wasn't just about an insurance paper. It was the climax of a 44-year war. Marvin Sr. had always been violently jealous of his son. He envied his talent, he envied his money, and most of all, he envied the close, loving relationship Marvin had with his mother, Alberta. The Prince of Soul was a global superstar to the world, but in his father's house, he was still the terrified child of an abusive tyrant. But Marvin was no innocent victim in this story. By 1984, he was a man in freefall. He owed millions of dollars to the IRS, a debt so crippling it forced him into a humiliating tax exile in Belgium. The only reason the Prince of Motown was back in America, living in his parents' house, was because he was completely and utterly broke. The man who sang of luxury and romance had lost it all. His recent sexual healing comeback was a brilliant illusion. While the world celebrated his triumphant return, Marvin was deeper in the grip of cocaine addiction than ever before. He was consumed by a terrifying paranoia, convinced an assassin was being sent to kill him. This paranoia led him to wear bulletproof vests, hire bodyguards, and, in the ultimate tragic irony, buy his father the .38 revolver for protection. Marvin's spiral didn't start with cocaine, it started with death. His greatest musical partner, the incredible Tammi Terrell, collapsed in his arms on stage in 1967. She was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor and, after 8 agonizing surgeries, died 3 years later. Her death destroyed Marvin. He quit touring for years, refused to sing, and fell into a profound depression from which many, including his family, say he never truly recovered. His professional life was a golden cage built by Motown founder Berry Gordy, who was not just his boss, but also his brother-in-law. Their relationship was toxic. Gordy famously hated Marvin's 1971 masterpiece, What's Going On, calling it the worst record I ever heard. Marvin had to fight tooth and nail to release the album, feeding his paranoia that the Motown machine was actively trying to control and destroy him. Marvin's paranoia poisoned his personal life, especially when it came to his music rivals. He grew intensely jealous of the new sex symbol on the scene, Teddy Pendergrass. But this professional rivalry became a public humiliation when another artist, funk superstar Rick James, began a very open, torrid affair with Marvin's second wife, Jan. The betrayal sent Marvin deeper into a jealous, drug-fueled rage, feeling he was being replaced both on the charts and in his own home. Marvin's story, as tragic as it is, was not unique. He was just one star in a constellation of Motown tragedies. Florence Ballard of the Supremes, who was pushed out of the group, died broke on welfare at just 32. David Ruffin of The Temptations, who had his own dark and abusive history with Tammi Terrell, died of a fatal drug overdose. Was it a Motown curse? Or was the Hit Factory a machine that chewed up and spit out its most sensitive artists? If you're finding this story as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. We return to that hallway on April 1st. After being beaten by his son, Marvin Sr. walked to his bedroom and retrieved the .38 revolver. He walked calmly back to Marvin's bedroom door, where his son was sitting on his bed. The father raised the gun and fired once, directly into his son's chest. He then stepped closer and fired a second, fatal shot at point-blank range. This is where the official story ends and the darkest theory begins. Was it cold-blooded murder, or was it a suicide by father? Marvin was documented as being deeply suicidal. His sister Jean later claimed he had tried to jump from a speeding car just days earlier. He was in debt, in chronic pain, and hopelessly addicted. Did he intentionally provoke his abusive, armed father, knowing it was the only way out? The most chilling evidence for this theory comes from Marvin's own brother, Frankie, who lived in the guest house. Frankie was the first to reach Marvin. He cradled his dying brother in his arms, who allegedly whispered his final horrifying words. "I got what I wanted. I couldn't do it myself, so I had him do it." Do you believe this was a tragic suicide by father? Let us know your theory in the comments below. The trial of Marvin Gay Sr. was a global scandal. The charge was first-degree murder, but the world watched in disbelief as the father's legal team built a case for self-defense. They didn't portray the victim as a music legend. They painted him as a violent, drug-crazed monster who had brutally attacked his elderly father. The defense's greatest weapon was Marvin's own body. The autopsy report was the nail in the coffin. It confirmed that Marvin Gaye had significant amounts of cocaine in his system at the time of his death. This, combined with the undisputed fact that he had started the physical violence, gave the defense all the ammunition it needed. The verdict was the final insult to Marvin's legacy. Marvin Gay Sr. pleaded no contest to a reduced charge of voluntary manslaughter. The self-defense argument had worked. The preacher who shot his son twice, once at point-blank range, received absolutely no jail time. He was given a 6-year suspended sentence and 5 years of probation. Marvin Gay Sr. was not sent to a prison. He was sent to a retirement home. He lived out his days, dying of pneumonia in 1998, a free man. He outlived the son he murdered by 14 years. Alberta, the woman at the center of the final, fatal fight, divorced him immediately after the trial and lived out her final years in peace. Marvin Gaye's music is immortal. What's Going On and Let's Get It On are sounds of beauty and love. But his death remains one of music's ugliest stories. Was it a cold-blooded murder by a jealous, abusive father? A tragic, drug-fueled accident? Or was it the final, desperate act of a tormented genius? A suicide meticulously planned and executed by the two men who had been at war since the day he was born? Hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into music's darkest stories. Enjoying our deep dives into rock and roll's history? Please drop us a like and a subscription to support the channel. And feel free to click one of the videos on your screen to continue learning about classic rock's dark past. See you there.